Hello, today I'd like to talk with you about language development. Language development during early childhood is a fascinating process to learn about. I look forward to the opportunity for you to dig into your reading about language development, especially in chapters on infancy and preschool development. So, researchers who have studied language development have determined that language progresses in the same order universally for children throughout the world, regardless of what language they are learning. Children coo, ah, ooh, before they babble, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. They babble before they say their first words, milk. And they say their first words before they put words in combination. Need milk, want milk. Even children whose language is sign language learn language in the same order, but through making signing motions with their hands. So how is this possible that regardless of the language that a child learns, they learn language in exactly the same order? Fascinating. When children say their first words, it's around 1 year of age. And they use what are called holophrases, HOLOPHRASES, which is a word or a word and a gesture that communicate an entire sentence. Let's say that a child's mother has picked up her keys in her purse and she's walking out the door without the child. And the child reaches up, that's a gesture, and says me or go. That would be a holophrase. And then children will put the first 2 and then 3 words together in a sentence. Now the child might say, me go. And the kind of speech that they're using then is called telegraphic speech, because they're just including the essential words to convey the meaning of an entire sentence. Soon language really takes off with a vocabulary explosion, so that by the time children start school, they know thousands of words and are talking in paragraphs. It's amazing how this process unfolds in such a short period of time. As you dig into your reading about language development, you'll appreciate even more fully the wonder of this process. And I have included in your materials a fascinating video, The Birth of a Word, which will even add to the wonder of it all. So various people have come up with ideas to explain language development. We can think of these ideas, these explanations, theories, in terms of nature and nurture. Some of them emphasize more the environment and its influences. That would be more of a nurture kind of theory, and some emphasize the brain and brain development, and that's more, of course, of a nature kind of theory, and then others look at the interaction between the two. So in terms of a more nurture-oriented theory, I'd like to talk with you about learning theory, because learning theory tries to explain language development by looking at how, through the process of both reinforcement and observational learning, children acquire language. And these processes are at work. When children start saying things, we give them attention and they observe us and how we talk. And this then influences how their language develops. But none of these theories adequately explains all aspects of language development when looked at in isolation. And it really requires a combination of ideas to help us to better understand more fully how language unfolds. A very well-known nurture theory called a nativist theory of language is the theory of Noam, N-O-A-M, Chomsky, C-H-O-M-S-K-Y, who came up with this idea of what he calls a language acquisition device. He believes that we are born with our brain pre-wired to learn language, and that we have this language acquisition device in our brain that enables us eventually to learn language. He believes that once our brain develops sufficiently and we are in an environment where we hear language, then we are able to learn language. He believes this is a universal process seen in children worldwide, and the fact that children tend to learn language in exactly the same order and to be self-correcting in many of the linguistic errors that they make early in life, he cites as evidence in support of his notion of a language acquisition device. One other interesting aspect of research on language development I'd like to comment on is the work on what's called infant-directed or child-directed speech. And this has to do with the high-pitched, slow way of talking to infants that we just sort of naturally do. What a cute girl you are, that kind of thing. Look at the birdie, and other things that we might say, but maybe not quite that foolishly. Where we use infant-directed speech, children respond very well to infant-directed speech, and it seems to help them in learning language. You might practice that with a friend and see what that feels like, being on the giving end and the receiving end of it. And if you happen to have dogs, we do tend to talk to our dogs in that way as well. So these are some ideas for you to think of with regard to language development as you dig into your reading on this topic. Thank you, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.